everybody, it's Jason Chadwick with Premier Guitar, and we are backstage at the Strymon booth here with Pete from Strymon.
Howdy.
And what we were listening to on the intro is your newly announced magnetic tape machine, Volante. So tell us a little bit, Pete, about what was kind of the thoughts behind the idea of developing something like this and how it came together.
All right, we introduced our Magneto Eurorack module last year, and we wanted to take some of those concepts along with our El Capistan D-tape delay and expand it into a platform that really gave a wide range of magnetic media experience, delay experience to users, and kind of encompassing a bit of the history of multi-head magnetic media echo types from decades past. And so we started with some of those concepts and came up with an interface that allows for some quick and simple manipulation of the heads, allowing for individual assignment of playback and feedback. And so what that means is that you can listen to the heads, you can feedback the heads, but that's completely independent of each other, where you can listen to a head and it doesn't need to feed back to the input, but you can also have a head that you're not listening to contribute to the feedback signal. So that allows for wide variety of rhythms and possibilities.
Can you give us a demonstration of something like that?
So here, in a simple setup, we've introduced a delay at head 4, and it's going to repeat. So this is a simple quarter note delay. So now I could have head 3 play back, and this will be a familiar dotted eighth, but only the quarter note is feeding back. So I could also say I don't want to hear head 3, but I want head 3 to feed back. So you hear the quarter note, and then you hear the repeats from the, and we could disable head 4's feedback. So now this will be kind of interesting because we're only going to hear one repeat, but it's going to be the quarter note, and then it's going to be at the third head, which is still only going to be heard every quarter note. So you'll get a kind of a little bit of a skip here.
And I'm guessing previously those type of effects are pretty difficult to program into a digital delay or something.
Right. There was an old Binson unit, less popular than the Binson 2. It was called the 603, and that had individual playback and feedback assignments. It was one of their solid state units, but that allows you the full possibilities. On many of them, you could really only select which heads would combination of heads through a selector, but it was either they're playing back or feeding back. And on that subject of heads and some of the Binson settings, the Binson swell setting would engage all 4 heads to play back. So whatever setting you're on, if you originally had head 3 selected, you'd get a repeat that's a dotted eighth relative to a quarter note if you're considering head 4 to be a quarter note. And then if you turn that selector to swell, you'd get so that basically is the swell setting. Then so whatever you had set up when you hit swell, so you can get all those combinations from the kind of the more well-known multi-head platter machines, but also then any other combination. And then to take that concept further, the Roland Space Echoes, which are multi-head tape machines, the 201 had its echoes evenly spaced, so you had 3 echoes. So you'd have so you'd have to kind of supply the quarter note yourself in a sense. But the Roland Space Echo 501 had heads that were not evenly spaced, that purposely aligned, that were actually in fairly close to the golden ratio sequence. So if you do heads 1, 3, and 4, you get what you would get on a 501. And once you actually engage the feedback of these heads, so you hear how it becomes a very complex.
So was this kind of maybe one of your ideas in putting this all together was like, well, we kind of like this feature from this old Benson and this one from this old Space Echo. Let's see if we can make a machine that can kind of do it all.
Right, exactly. So you hear the difference between these head groupings like this when they're at the golden ratio, and then when they're evenly spaced, is very different. So you can get there in anywhere in between. So we've got a triplet spacing here. So here's the even. Here's triplet. But it also will morph, smoothly in between there. So here's even, and this is kind of not quite even. It's close, but you can hear the heads kind of playing against each other. So you can kind of have an even style, but it's actually some mechanical differences that will kind of fill up. And so and again, from golden ratio to silver ratio, and the silver ratio is a sequence that actually sets the repeats to be kind of ganged up towards the quarter note. So done, they kind of like jamming in there. And so we've also allowed for half level heads, so you can be on, off, or if you press and hold it, turns orange, now it's half level. So this will give you kind of a reverse. We've got repeats kind of ganged up towards the quarter note, and they're kind of increasing in level. Yeah, so there's like really a huge amount of variations you can get with selecting your own kind of multi-head experience.
And then so along with this, which I think is some kind of new, so you guys have a tap, a favorite switch built in, and then just an on-off switch. But down here I see it says hold in parentheses SOS. What does that mean?
Yeah. Sound on sound mode. So
I thought that meant like things are going wrong.
Right, hold for help, call for help. So the sound on sound mode, if we press and hold it, we've entered sound on sound, and the multi-head delay still remains active. And we can splice.
If I hold that while you play.
Well, see, if you actually know.
I see.
Well, you just spliced in, but we'll clear it. So once you're in sound on sound mode, it's indicated by the orange light here.
Oh, okay.
And then you can splice in. So now I've got a loop going.
Ah, I see.
And I can play over that with the multi-heads. And that'll continue to play and degrade, and I can freeze basically it lifts the record head, so that will continue to play without further degrading. But I still can play over that with the multi-head echo. And then we have some transport controls. So that's a pause effect. We can adjust the mechanical rise and fall time there. So now I've just sped that up. So, and then we can also reverse the loop. And it'll also reverse the multi-head echo as we're playing too. Like if I can change the delay time of the echo that I'm playing over it without affecting the loop length. And we also have 3 different speeds. Yeah, it's double speed, normal speed, half speed, and the machine reacts accordingly to its mechanics. I'll touch briefly. The mechanics introduce variations based on the machine type. So in the drum, which is a spinning platter, it produces a cyclical perturbation to the speed. So that's at maximum, and exaggerated, although I've heard worse. And if I speed that up, that perturbation will be twice as fast. And then for the tape machine, it'll introduce some wow and flutter. That's a little more random. And then beyond 12 o'clock, we'll start to add the splice and crinkle effects.
that real shimmery effect on top.
Right. Yeah. It definitely cleans up and adds increases the fidelity just as a machine running at higher speed would. Because what's happening internally is the entire process is running at those different speeds. That's why you hear those things. It's because it's actually happening. So there's 3 different voices: the drum, the tape, and the studio. Kind of go in order of increasingly clean signal. We've got a line instrument switch in the back. In line mode, will give you 10 extra dB of clean headroom if you've got a synth going into this. Our record level can really kind of send a hot signal into the signal processor, and so depending on what level kind of you're feeding the Volante with, you can kind of tailor it to give you the level of clean or dirty headroom that you're looking for. Let's see, was there something? I'm sure there's plenty else, but
I mean, it seems like you guys packed about every kind of delay echo trick you could think of in this thing,
Yeah, we had a lot of fun developing it, and ultimately coming up with what it's turned out to, and we were pretty happy to see the positive response.
So do you think that this kind of form factor and platform is something that you'll be able to build on other types of pedals in the future?
Yeah, I would expect so. It becomes a really powerful and versatile platform that hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of as well.
And when will these be coming out, Pete?
They're actually available in the U.S. now. Our overseas shipments are going to be coming up. I don't know what our current ETA overseas is, but they are available now. I think we actually sold out briefly. We might be back on stock since we got to NAMM. But we have introduced it, and they are.
And what's the price going to be?
$399. Yep.
So we're going to have you play us out, Pete, here in just a second. This is Jason Shadrick with Premier Guitar.